pretty heartbreaking testimony yesterday from different members of the Capitol Police. Obviously, those people who served with members who were killed that day at the Capitol. The people who we got to hear haunting stories of people that had brought all kinds of weapons and intended to shoot people in the head, intended to assassinate members of Congress. We heard about all of that yesterday. So we're just sort of getting to the beginning of this, but I don't want to get too much into the testimony. What I do want to focus on, though, is what Jim Jordan had to say. And, Jim Jordan put his foot in his mouth yesterday, basically trying to cover up the fact that he spoke with President Trump on January 6th, the day of the riots. Just watch Jim Jordan here try to spin this and try to get away with trying to hide this from the mainstream media when Bret Baier pushes him on this question. Watch this. And then we also have got another piece of video I want to show you back to back with this. Watch.
The committee is obviously going to go down a number of different roads about who knew what when, who was talking to coordinators of the protest. Did you talk to the former president that day?
I've talked to the former president umpteen times, thousands. I mean, not thousands
on
times,
January
but
6th.
countless times. I talked to the president. I never talk about what we talk about because I just don't think that's appropriate. Just like I don't talk about what happens in Republic.
Look how nervous he is. No, did you talk to him on the 6th? I don't care if you talked to him any other day, but did you talk to him on the 6th? And he's like, I'm just not going to answer. I talk to him all the time. I'm going to talk about what I talk about.
Well, based on seeing him in Congress during testimony and stuff, when he's questioning people, he looks like he's done a line of cocaine or something before this interview.
He always does, man. This guy looks. I talk to him all the time. It's like Kramer in that episode of Seinfeld where he gets. I bring this up, where he gets the free coffee, the unlimited free coffee, and he's like, I want my cafe latte. You can't tell me I can't have a cafe latte. I have a cafe latte.
Republican conferences. So
Sure.
I've talked to the president numerous times. I continue to talk to the president since he's left
on
office.
January 6th, Congressman.
Yes, I've talked to the president. I've talked to the president so many. I can't remember all the days I've talked to him, but I've certainly talked to the president.
Yeah.
So you just you look how nervous he is. January 6th. Oh, that day wasn't special, right? I don't know. I talk to him all the time. Yes, I talk to him all the time. So he quickly scoots in there that he spoke to him on the 6th of January. I'm sorry, you don't forget something like that, right? January 6th, like a huge day in American history, okay? A huge day in American history. We all remember where we were. We all remember that day unfolding. And especially if you're in Congress and you're talking to the man who just a few hours earlier invited people to go down the street towards the Capitol. Go down the street towards the Capitol. Did you speak to him that day or not? You would remember that. We all remember where we were on September 11th when we first heard about what was happening. To older people watching our show right now, I'm sure you remember exactly where you were when JFK was assassinated. I'm sure you remember, like I do, exactly what happened the day that the Challenger exploded, where you were, right? I bet you could all say it. David, do you know where you were when the Challenger exploded?
I was in the library of my 6th grade classroom, I believe, watching it on the TV, on a roller cart TV.
Yeah, I was home from school that day. My mom, she was painting the one bedroom. We were watching it on TV, and I couldn't believe it. We all remember this stuff. You would remember speaking to the President of the United States on that day.
And on that day can you share any of the insight of what he was thinking about that day?
Brett, the people we need to come testify are the people who can testify to the fundamental questions. Why didn't the United States Capitol, the People's House, have an appropriate security posture on that day? And what have we done? Those are the people we need to hear from. Yeah. That's the information and testimony we need to get.
Not the people that encouraged people to break into the Capitol, that fomented violence on the Capitol. We don't need to hear from those people. We just need to find out just about look, I get it. I get that Republicans really, really, really don't want to acknowledge their own party's wrongdoing in any of this, right? As far as January 6th is concerned, because obviously the party exists to serve Donald Trump, right now. And and literally it was all a part of his big lie that he didn't win the election, right? So that he could right now, and we now have the proof in this, right? $75 million that he's raised because of his super PAC to fight election lies, as we talked about this earlier in this week. Not a penny has been spent on actually fighting the election. It's all gone to him for lavish dinners, for his own private jets, for his legal fees.
McDonald's is not lavish, Clayton. I don't know how many times I have to tell you that.
Hey, I don't know if you've had the McRoyal Deluxe. That thing it's pretty lavish because you got,
Ready? You have the cameras rolling?
You got an extra tomato on there.
There's no tomato on his sandwich. Are you kidding me?
That's true. There's no vegetables in that guy's
No.
sandwich. Oh, man.
I want a burger with 3 pieces of cheese. Keep
I want
those
4
pickles and
patties.
green stuff.
It's like
I don't eat what my food eats.
Newman, no broccoli, foul weed. And we know the whole reason for Jordan's deflection here is because he wants to deflect it to Nancy Pelosi. Like, why, as Speaker of the House, isn't there more money spent on Capitol Hill police? Right? Like, okay, so that's the deflection. You're going to point that in that direction. So so if you spoke to Donald Trump on that day, and you speak to him multiple times about what he was thinking, what he was doing, who he was commenting, was he keeping the National Guard away on purpose? All of those things. Why didn't he come help Mike Pence, who they had set up gallows outside to go hang the Vice President of the United States, saying we're going to shoot him in the head?
My opinion is the reason they didn't is because they obviously knew they weren't in that much danger. I mean, again, I say this every time this story comes up.
Who wasn't in that much danger?
A group of people were able to get into the United States Capitol. There's video that people don't ever bring up of sticks being passed out of the bottom of the Capitol, handed to people to break windows and stuff like this. They were getting led in by people. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, they opened the doors for people.
Yeah,
so
they were moving the gates out of the way.
But that doesn't get Trump off the hook, and that doesn't get Jim Jordan off the hook for having to be subpoenaed. I mean, the question now becomes, should this guy be subpoenaed as a result? There's more to this, because he can't remember if he spoke to him on the 6th.
That's what we should focus on. But I don't think that Benny Thompson, the chairman of this committee, said everything's on the table until we raise this issue about the Speaker's office is the one who knows what the security posture and why it was the way it was. Once we raise that question, he said, well, everything's on the table.
There's some confusion over what you told Bret Baier on Fox News on Tuesday night, so I want to clear it up. First off, yes or no, did you speak with President Trump on January 6th?
Yeah, I mean, I spoke with the president last week. I speak with the president all the time. I spoke with him on January 6th. I mean, I talk with President Trump all the time, and that's I don't think that's unusual.
It is unusual to speak to him on the day that this is happening. I speak to him all the time. Look, he clearly has something to hide here. Clearly, and dodging these questions on this.
I would expect members of Congress to talk with the president of the United States when they're trying to get done the things they told the voters in their district to do. I'm actually kind of amazed sometimes that people keep asking this. But of course, I talk to the president all the time. I talked with him, like I said, I talked with him last week.
On January 6th, did you speak with him before, during, or after the Capitol was attacked?
I'd have to go. I spoke with him that day after. I think after. I don't know if I spoke with him in the morning or not. I just don't know.
Look at that nervousness, though. Like pulling up his pants. I don't know. I'd have to look. I have to look. Well, how are you going to look? Well, I mean, it's easy to do on phone records, right? You could easily see that. Did you call the president? Would that would all be subpoenable, right? That'd be very easy to find out. You're speaking to him multiple times. Like, did you know? Like, were you begging, like you were there and there were people running for their lives and wondering whether or not the National Guard was going to come in and save people? Mike Pence had to be whisked off. Apparently there was like one corridor away from where he was the group was about to capture the Vice President of the United States. Like, laugh about it all we want. This is no friggin' joke in my opinion. And so did you or didn't you speak with him? And what did you talk about with the president that day? And you're on the committee? Like, no wonder McCarthy wanted him on the committee. That's the most laughable part of all of this. So you, who spoke to the president of the United States, the guy who told people to go towards the Capitol, you're on the committee investigating it. Thanks to Kevin McCarthy.
I honestly think, and Wolf Clan, this is my opinion. I honestly think that if those people were actually in danger, if those people really would have got close to Pence, based on what they did, I don't think he would have been hurt. They didn't hurt anybody, really. They broke in. They were walking through there. They were taking pictures. They were flying flags. There weren't anybody grabbing. Like, if that were the case, they would have grabbed the cops, tried to take them out of commission to get in. Like, it would have been a lot more violent if they were actually going to go in there and hurt one of these people, I think.
But they killed people. I mean,
well, no, The only one that died is a cop, or was a girl that a cop shot. The guy that that they said got hit with the fire extinguisher, that didn't happen there. There's proof that he did not die because of the Capitol riots.
But Sicknick was killed.
No, that's the guy that's not true. He wasn't killed there.
What about the guy who was literally being crushed inside of a doorway, the police officer who's begging for his life?
Well, there was a female that was shot there that was a protester. That's the only death that happened there. The cop that died there did not happen because there was no fire extinguisher. That story was proven false.
So Sicknick didn't die at the Capitol, even though he was
died,
held in.
But he was not the one that was held. His own brother, testified that he did not die from that.
Okay. Well, as Cutie Pie says, this cop who was smashed up against the door frame, I beg to differ.
Yeah. If there may have been people that were put in position, but he didn't die. All I'm saying is, if there were people that were going in there to kill a vice president, they would have killed anybody who got in their way.
The crushed guy spoke at the commission 2 days ago.
But yeah, just do a search on the Brian Sicknick guy, and you'll see the story.
Well, there was, of course, in the immediate aftermath, there was people saying that the fire extinguisher to the head is what killed somebody, and we know that that's not true. So here's this is Brian Sicknick. The evidence-free claim that Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick died from injuries suffered on January 6th reemerged Tuesday during the first day of the hearings at the Democratic-led House Select Committee's inquiry. Sicknick died the day after responding to the riot, which broke out as lawmakers counted electoral votes to affirm President Joe Biden's victory. They said that he had been beaten with a fire extinguisher, but the medical examiner concluded that Sicknick suffered 2 strokes and that his death was from natural causes. Okay.
Yeah. And that's the thing. All this time, people have been saying this cop was murdered. And that's why everybody's up in arms about this whole January 6th. And they never come out and change the story and say, oh, no, we're sorry. That is not true. This is how he actually died. And his brother even came out about it.
Right. And Ashley Babbitt, of course, we all know that. She was one of the rioters that climbed through the window and was shot by the unidentified Capitol Police officer as she attempted to climb through the broken window.
Right. That was the only death.
Yeah.
So I can understand people being smashed. I mean, it's a riot. But the thing is, my opinion is, if they were there to murder a vice president and take him out to the gallows, anybody that got in their way of doing that, they would have done something to them. If that was their agenda, they would have been more violent the entire time. Those people were inside taking pictures. They were let in. There were sticks being handed out the windows in the basement of the thing. Like this was somehow allowed to happen, because you're telling me that the United States Capitol, where our government functions, was not protected from 100 or so Trump supporters. I just cannot buy that.
Well, here's my opinion. I think it was awful what happened that day. I think people got really hurt. I think that, breaking into the Capitol grounds and stealing government laptops, disrupting the election process, the smashing of the Capitol, smashing of doors, terrorizing those people who literally thought they were going to be killed. People on the outsides of those doors who were getting through multiple chambers before they were stopped. You had, Mike Pence saying that they were like one door or something away from Mike Pence at one point. The fact that you didn't have the president of the United States standing up and demanding that people leave the Capitol, instead the opposite is true, sort of gloating about it in the United States of America, when we claim to be this bastion of freedom, role of democracy around the world. So I think this should have never happened. People taking private jets to fly to Washington, D.C. to storm the Capitol, do whatever they were going to do. Setting up, who brings gallows? Who leaves pipe bombs outside of Democratic headquarters and Republican headquarters? Where's that information? like leaves bombs in our nation's capital? Who sets up a gallows that wants to hang Mike Pence on the lawn outside of the Capitol building? So all of this needs to be investigated. We need to get to the bottom of it. We need to find out, why it was the National Guard not there. We need to find out why did it seem like there were people high-fiving members of the Capitol Police as they came through the doors? Why did it seem like there were certain entrances that were just left wide open? Like, all of this needs to be investigated. Truth, right? Facts. Let's find some facts here. That's what I want. And if it turns out that, guess what? There were people in on it in the Capitol.
But the thing is, people don't obviously want the facts. You show people facts that he died of natural causes, and they still can't accept it. Well, but it still had to do with the right. Like, everybody, there's a thing that I saw today, and I thought I saved it as a picture, and I want to show this because this is so true to how people are. Let me zoom in on this a little bit and go to my desktop. Okay, it's not very big, but it says, for me to switch to my camera is a big deal here because I got to empty this and then, okay, so let me go to here. It says, sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed. And the thing is, like, a lot of people have these illusions that they've been told how they think this has happened. It's like there are still people out there that believe that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, even though there's been so much data to prove that there's no way he could have done that on his own. But because that's the illusion that people want to believe, they'll die on that hill. And the thing is, like, as truth starts to present itself, you have to be willing. Like, every story that I read, every story that I hear, I'm willing to pivot when I get more information. It's not like I just sit there and I'm like, oh no, that's BS. The government did it. It's BS. No, I go down rabbit holes. I read, I read articles, I watch videos, and I take in all this information, and then I start to form my opinion. I don't just form it right out of the gate, but you have to be willing when you get more information to realize that maybe it didn't happen the way you wanted it to. Like, you want so bad for Trump to be responsible for this. You want so bad for somebody to pay for this. And I understand it was not a good thing that happened. But when truth starts to reveal itself and facts start to appear, you have to be willing to change your opinion.
The thing is with Sicknick, it's like, of course. I mean, in my opinion, the guy died as a result of his injuries from the riot. One day earlier, whatever happened to him, getting hit, then taken to the hospital, and then dying from 2 strokes the next day, quote, natural causes. And yet the day before he was involved in a riot. Okay. To me, are they totally unrelated?
That's what they're saying.
They're totally unrelated. It's like, I just don't buy that. The guy's, he's totally fine. He was just like there smiling. No problems. He rushed to the hospital, dies because of 2 strokes related to, is it something related to the stress of being involved in this? I mean, who knows, right? Heart condition because of it. I mean, to have it be totally unrelated, I find to be laughable. I just don't buy that. I just don't buy that. But hey, that's why we're here, right?
Yep.
So that's why we're here. Yeah. Anyway. All right. So Jim Jordan. That was the story. Jim Jordan. Will he or won't he have to be subpoenaed as a result of admitting that he spoke to Trump on that day, fomenting a riot at the Capitol? I think so. I think, and it's also, can you really investigate something that you were maybe involved with? Like, is that fair? Is that why McCarthy put him on the committee in the first place? Can you, it's like asking, it's like asking a terrorist to be in, to sit in on the investigation of 9/11 commission or something. It's like asking Osama bin Laden or somebody to sit in on a committee and investigate the very thing that they may have helped cause, or do nothing to stop it. All these people are running through the building, looking after your colleagues and stealing computers and disrupting the presidential process of actually, installing a new president of the United States. Okay. There you go. That's my thought on that. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. You can also become a channel member by going to morninginvest.com/join, where you can stick it to the mainstream media and support independent journalism. We're able to bring you the stories that you won't see on any of the major billionaire-backed networks. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time, everyone.